What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for December 9th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Monday edition of Victory Monday, the ninth straight Victory Monday, or Tuesday, or Friday, Saturday, whatever we want to call it. Doesn't feel much like a victory, though, so I guess let's just get right into it. Eagles did win 22-16. It wasn't pretty. I think that might be the understatement of the day. And it was one of those games. It felt as though they could get caught here. Give credit to the Panthers. They had a good game plan. That young team came ready to play. And shame on me for losing that bet. As it grew, 13 and a half, I think it was 14 at some point by the start of the game. It just felt uncomfortable. All the Super Bowl talk, maybe I thought they were going to come out and play better. But it was a tough game, and they continued to get off to the slow starts. Passing game looked out of sync, and I got to be honest, I think I haven't really watched much post-game stuff. It took forever to get home through the subway, so I didn't really listen to much. I will go back today and rewatch some of the game. But from where I was sitting in the stadium, Jalen didn't play well. Did not play well. It did look as though the Panthers were doubling and providing a lot of help on AJ and Devontae. However, I will say at one point, there were a couple times that I did see AJ break routes inside when if he'd have went outside, he's going to beat the outside corner, and he took them inside. So I don't know if that is what being out of sync. I don't know if that is Kellen Moore's play calling. I'm not sure if it's him and Jalen not being on the right page, but there were a couple times, and you saw it, like he cut it inside, and if he just did a fake and went out and up, he had it there. So certainly, excuse me, certainly some things to fix this week heading into the game against Pittsburgh. But it just was for lack of a better way to put it, just an icky feeling about that game. Luckily, they were able to win it. Would not have been the least bit surprised if they lost it. If Leggett hangs on to that ball, they lose. So thank goodness for that. But as Andy Reid used to say, anytime you win in the National Football League, it's a good thing. The Eagles win. They're 11-2. One more quote-unquote tough game left. But, I mean, if you're going to struggle like you did yesterday against the Panthers, I don't think you can take any one of these teams for granted. I don't know. Like I said, I'll go back through some of the interviews and post-game comments and rewatch. But that was sort of my takeaway, was Jalen just seemed out of sync and not on the same page. And AJ, like I said, there were a couple times where he cut it in. And that's really who I was watching. I didn't really notice much. And I'll go back, like I said, I'll go back and look with Devontae. But it just not good. I think the defense played solid. Not the dominating performance I think I was expecting, but they held Bryce Young and Chuba Hubbard to pretty much containing them. I know Hubbard had some decent plays, but I think overall they played well. If we go back and revisit the three keys to the game, did they get off to a fast start? Not even close. It's like they're allergic to the first quarter. Whatever they're scripting, that needs to change. Like, the script is just not working. And it is concerning that you can't get off to a fast start against a team like the Panthers. You start doing that against the Lions, the Vikings, or even the Steelers next week, you could be in trouble. Dominate both lines. I think the offensive line played well. Saquon had 124 yards rushing, set the Eagles' single-season rushing record, breaking Shady's record that he set, I believe, in 2013. Defense, like I said, they got some pressure on. Didn't wrap up tackling from what I saw as much as I would have liked to. But but I think overall the defensive line played well, so I think we hit that one. And play like a super team, and that does not look like a Super Bowl team the way they played yesterday. But again, the Panthers did this to the Chiefs. The Panthers played tough against Tampa Bay. You're not going to be great every single week. So what does this all mean? Pretty much nothing. I really do. I think a win is a win. I'll go back and look at some of the things. I do think Jalen needs to get more in sync with the receivers, and I don't know if the pendulum now has swung so far toward them being a rushing team that we got to kind of bring back some of the pass. I don't know. Like I said, I want to go back, watch some of the post-game interviews, rewatch some of the parts of the game that I want to see, because maybe there was something with those AJ routes that I was missing in the stadium, but it certainly looked like he was able to do it. But I still think this team is a Super Bowl contending team. Games like this happen in football. That's why they call it any given Sunday. Any given Sunday, something like this can happen. They were fortunate enough to win. I think because they're a good enough team, that's why they were able to win. Certainly not the perfect game, but I think you take the win, you move on, and then you start worrying if the trends continue. So I'll have more on this game tomorrow once I'm able to go back and watch some of the post-game stuff, rewatch some of the game. But I always like to come on the day after a game just with raw what my thoughts are, what I saw without the least amount of outside influence. But that's kind of where I see it. I think the defense was solid. Not their best game, but certainly kept the team in it. But something with Jalen is just they just were out of sync. And I don't, again, maybe it's because they went so far to the side of being a running team that something got lost. But I do feel it's something that can be cleaned up. So again, have more on that tomorrow. But Eagles win 22-16, move to 11-2. We lose the bet. We move to 7-6. Still in the black there, but just barely. But there's still a lot of football left to be played. But that brings us to today's question of the day. And who is the GOAT of the game? Was it Saquon Barkley, Devontae Smith, or C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who had himself a really good game, gave us a little bit of a scare, but came back in the game? But who's your GOAT of the game? Call or text me on the Back to the Future voice and text line, 267-495-8531. Get that, your thoughts on the game, thoughts on Jalen, AJ, the defense, Jake Elliott, who still seems to be struggling, Nick Sirianni's coaching decisions. I think kind of surprised he punted when he did, but it seemed to play the way it should have been. But let me know your thoughts on that. But who's the GOAT of the game? Saquon, Devontae, or C.J. Gardner-Johnson? Get those votes in.